KBER 101, Utah's rock station, Simple Man and Leonard Skinnerd. It's time now to open up the phone lines to talk sports with DP. In the world of sports, got a lot of things. We're at that time of year where, do you realize that the first preseason game is, I think, this weekend?
Yeah.
Here we are.
This is the time when football, I go, what? What do you, no. What?
You know what they're doing is they're setting players up to be injured.
And they're getting injured.
Because they are not in football shape right now. You put them out in a game. And
the thing about it is you can't, in any sport, I don't care what sport it is you play. If you play baseball and you don't play winter baseball or stay in shape, you are so far behind the curveball when you come back. If you play football and really don't stay in football shape all summer, you're behind the eight ball. If you play basketball and don't stay in shape, you can't get out of shape anymore. It can't happen.
No, you're a pro, and even though you're out of season, you're still a pro.
You're still a pro. Yeah. But the crazy thing is, like we talked about, players are dropping for the season-ending injuries left and right already.
And DP, as a coach, do you encourage your players to do something all year long?
We actually have all-season programs. So there are boundaries set for the guys, so they have to check in. There are weight programs that are weight days, designated weight days. So we have 3 weight days a week for every program. So for football, baseball, basketball, they each have their own.
Do they do it?
But this is for high school. You're talking high school.
Well, that's where it begins.
This is a pretty big high school in Virginia. But most high schools at this nowadays, and I know colleges are the same way, but we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday lift days for, so those are generally off days for the players. They're limited in the number of days you can actually participate in the sport itself, but they have designated weight days throughout the entire season. There are only a couple of weeks where they cannot do team lifting. So, it's pretty much year-round.
Because I had that in high school where when we were off-season, we had weight training and stuff like that, but none of us ever went, and we always got an A. And they let us slide too much, way too much.
Well, I mean, here's the deal now. At our high school, we have a weightlifting class that most of the athletes take as a part of their curriculum, as part of what they take on a daily basis. They go 3 days a week, so they'll take that class. But our attendance up from 2 years ago, we're probably at about 60% attendance for guys that are available. So for a team of 70 guys, you're cranking out a pretty good amount of players showing up every day.
So how do you then? I mean, if that's high school, and we know probably even more in college and more in the pros, how are guys falling left and right, ACLs, and I think didn't Pitta have a broken hip? I mean, all kinds of crazy injuries in NFL training camps even.
I don't know that they're getting out of shape, but here's the one thing that, and they coincided with the conversation you guys were having earlier, that with performance-enhancing drugs, one of the telltale signs of a body that's put on too much muscle mass for its natural joint strength and structure is joint injury. And so guys that continually get injured, I mean, let's talk about A-Rod, guys that continually get injured, joint issues, those are usually telltale signs for doctors, trainers, coaches, managers, and administrators that you may be asking too much of the body. Maybe there's too much muscle mass for their frame, and then they're just not handling it well.
That makes sense, but in the case of A-Rod, aren't performance-enhancing drugs supposed to enhance your performance, not just injure you?
Well, you can say that. You can say that now, but think about this: a guy for 630 home runs or whatever it is.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It worked for a while.
He's built a substantial career before PEDs became an issue.
Now, has anything more happened today? I know as of yesterday he was trying to negotiate with the league offices to try to, even if he is going to get a lifetime ban, he still wants some of his $100 million or whatever he's doing. Did anything happen today?
Well, I mean, they said there's they hit a speed bump in the talks, but you're talking about a substantial amount of money over a long period of time. So if you want somebody to simply go away, which is what they're asking him to do, is just forget that you were ever a baseball player, take the money you've made, and be on your way. But his statement is, no, that's not how this is going to play out. For the testing that was done, he's passed enough of them, so you can't go back and ask for money from him. You can only implement now. There's some labor discussion issues, some labor issues that they're trying to get him on. But this thing, I don't think I think he would stand up to anything that they try to ask him to do. So I don't think this thing's going to end anytime soon for either side. I don't think either side is going to budge much more than they have.
Yeah, no kidding. Even wasn't it Buck Showalter, even the manager of the Orioles, that came out and said this is not fair. If they ban him for life and the Yankees get out from under $100 million contract and have money to spend again, that's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. There are some other things that are there. Then the same thing applies to anybody, and there's a watershed downhill. The Yankees being at the top with the most amount of money and the most cap room that it would create, that then flows down to Boston and flows down to the Milwaukee Brewers, who have the Braun issue that they're going to have to deal with. So the big money guys at the top who spent the most money and had the most guys for the bigger bang, for the bigger bucks. Well, if this PED thing starts to really flow the way they're expecting it to, those teams are going to be hit the hardest because those guys will be the most difficult to replace. When you have star power pulled out of your lineup and out of your budget and out of your marketability, then it's a much bigger issue. And I think that's what Major League Baseball is really dealing with.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're dealing with the big dog first.
You mentioned Braun. Nike just pulled their money from him.
Well, I mean, but this is what's going to happen. Is it now anybody that's in a marketing situation now can go back and say, you sold me a false bill of goods.
Yep.
You said you were going to be available. There's conduct codes and standards that are in place for those things. So this is one of those, and as quiet kept, this is one of those watershed moments for sports in that how marketing is done, how promotions are done, how these ad contracts are being put together. All of this changes from this point forward.
Yeah. Guess that's true.
Want to mention Tiger Woods today. Had an incredible 2 days, man. Tiger Woods is in his true form last 2 days anyway. He flirted with history today. Firestone Country Club settling for a 9-under par 61.
Wow, in one round?
In one round. Matched his career best score, gave him a commanding 7-stroke lead at the WGC Bridgestone Invitational. Was flirting with the 59 all day, settled on that 61. But, God, he's an incredible golfer.
He can be.
I would ask this question, and this is where you get into how great are they? When there are people like the Lakers, Tiger, LeBron, where you're obviously the best, and it's not good enough for you just to be the best. You have to be uber the best. You have to be completely and absolutely the best in order for people to leave you alone. How amazing does Tiger Woods have to be for people to leave him alone and say,
True.
okay, you're the best golfer in the world?
That is so true.
You think about it. How many athletes fall in that category where if they don't win the Masters or the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals, it's not good enough for them simply to be the best in the world? How rare is that? It doesn't happen very often, and it doesn't happen in every sport. But you can say that about Tiger. You can say it about LeBron. You could probably say it about a few others, maybe Serena Williams. But, wow, if you're not – how great are you that when you're not – winning your Super Bowl, it's not good enough. That's a pretty deep, fair statement of how great he is.
Tiger Woods now has shot a 61 4 times in his PGA Tour career. One of them coming at this very same course back in 2000. The 2 rounds of 61 at Firestone Country Club South Course are also tied for the course record. And started the back with 4 birdies in a row. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Dude, I mean, you think about when you're golfing, how happy you were to get 2 pars maybe in a row.
Please
get 4 birdies in a row, man.
No
well,
kidding.
They were hunting. I mean, this is the online buzz. And again, I said it on your show. There's nobody that sets golf on fire like Tiger Woods. When he's on, it is much watched television. And I don't know that can be said for any other golfer, male or female, anywhere in the world. Not even Mickelson can turn TV dials like Tiger when he's on. And to have people talk about the possibility of a 59 today was really what I guarantee you every restaurant, bar across the country that had a television and anybody that had interest in golf, they paid attention to what Tiger did in his round today.
Yeah,
Do you think a little of that goes to the fact that we have been watching Tiger since he was just a little teeny boy on The Tonight Show or whatever, and we have followed his whole game, and he has come through?
I think that there's a bit of reality TV in it, and people. I think there are those that criticize Tiger for his flaws, but I say it makes him more human.
Yeah.
I think it makes him more real that he's flawed. He's not a robot. He's not a cyborg. He's a man. He's flawed. He makes mistakes. He struggles at times at certain things, and he doesn't have continual success. But when he's on, he is the most elite thing going, and that's the statement. Tiger is he's more human now than he was before.
Yep.
I find it interesting, too, in reading Heine's book about him, that the guy's not afraid to change things in his game. You know, like a lot of people get into what they do, and they're not going to change anything. They're not going to risk that. But Tiger's totally open to changing his grip, his stance, everything. And I go, wow, that's amazing that this guy's got the most beautiful swing in the world, and yet he's going to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you know, I think that's a statement of how Tiger was living. That, quite frankly, if it ain't working, he'll change it. But it would be right or otherwise.
But it is working.
I think that's a statement of greatness, that being the best in the world, the drive and ambition, that hunger that says, I'm not going to be satisfied, I'm never going to be satisfied. There is still better, and he continues to strive for it, even while he's the best. Yeah. And again, that falls in that LeBron category of guys that, quite frankly, great isn't good enough.
Yep, no kidding.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's go to the Eagles.
Yeah, we got it. We got to talk about it. What's your take on, of course, Riley Cooper getting videoed at the Kenny Chesney show, using some derogatory language, dropping the N-bomb, and the league is, I guess, was it the league that came down on him, or just the team fined him?
Well,
I guess the team is.
The league is doing nothing. The league is going, well, he needs a little sensitivity training.
Yeah.
And
so
it's like, come on.
And here's a team that's been through a lot already with the Michael Vick stuff, and now this. It's like, what's going on in Philadelphia?
Well, this is big, and there's several different tentacles to this thing. This Occupy has there's several different legs that are moving, and several loose ends. First of all, even in your description of it, the N-bomb, it's bigger than a word. It's bigger than a word. It's bigger than a slur. It is the slur.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, let me preface all of this by saying that I don't speak for all black people. Never have, never will. I live a different life, come from different places. I've lived all over the place and been in different scenarios. But I say that when I say these things, I say them from me.
Okay.
And in fairness, because there are people that you could talk to, and if you probably want to talk to Mark Curry, and by the way, one of my favorite comedians, so when you talk to him, you'll probably be able to have this discussion with him and get an entirely different feel.
Okay.
But in my mind, I don't like the word, period. I don't care if it's black people saying it to black people. I don't care if it's two white people saying it to each other. I don't care. I don't like the word because there's history behind it, and most of the history behind it is one of venom and anger and hate.
And ignorance at the very least.
Yeah, and I understand that some black people have used it to disarm the word, to disengage the word, to move the word into a friendly place for them. But when they use it to each other, and a big part of the argument is, well, black people use it to each other. When they use it to each other, it's a word of love. It's a word of affection because it's to say, all things, we're family. And understand, there are things that you can say about your brother that could be mean and vicious. Brothers, family go after each other in a way that nobody else can. But you can say that to your brother. You can say that to your wife or your girlfriend or your best friend. But if anybody else says that about them, the hair on your neck raises, and you get in a fighting stance because it's disrespectful, and it dehumanizes everybody.
Yeah, I can see that.
Nobody's better when using the word. And this was the statement I had with a station this morning in Charlotte, and I asked the question, why would anybody want to use the word? Why Why would you want to call anybody that?
Well, I don't think anybody would if they didn't at least fairly regularly use that word. I don't think that would have come out of just anybody's mouth at any. I guarantee. I don't care how much I'd been drinking. If I was upset, if somebody said something to me, that word would not come out of my mouth. I don't use that word.
That's a choice.